Yesterday, the Biden administration announced the launch of Operation Allies Refuge to evacuate Afghans who assisted U.S. troops during their 20-year occupation of Afghanistan and who now face deadly threats from the Taliban. Flights out of the country carrying those in the process of obtaining special immigrant visas will begin at the end of July. For security reasons, no further information on the evacuation will be released by the government. This does seem like one of the unquestionably decent things that the United States can do in a situation where they put people's lives and their families' lives in jeopardy.
Absolutely. Got
their help translating and otherwise. Do you think it will be broad enough? Because there are obviously thousands or tens of thousands of people who collaborated in one way or another with the occupation beyond just translators.
I don't know how it could possibly be broad enough. I mean, I don't know. The scale that it would take to actually, to your point, I think this is the decent thing to do, but the scale that it would take to actually help on the scale that we should, all of the people who helped us and who were hurt by what our attempts to accomplish our goals in their country, I don't know how you could ever have something on that scale.
Right. These are people who.
It is the least we can do.
Right. It is the absolute least we can do, and they need to move very quickly. I mean, now the announcement of this is already going to probably hasten retribution against people where possible, but this can't be a situation where the immigration authorities are slow walking people's paperwork, and because this is a life or death question.
100%. And that's why the announcement in and of itself is sort of a difficult thing. And when you have a situation where you do, I mean, yeah, to your point, these things can't get caught up. They have to obviously balance security concerns, understandably so. But I would hope that they have a plan to execute this more efficiently than, let's say, their plan to execute the mission in the country itself. Now, several political figures, speaking of that mission and the plan and its execution, have come out against Biden's call to withdraw all U.S. troops from Afghanistan. I wonder who those people might be. Citing fear of violence the Taliban would inflict on Afghan citizens. This is from former President George W. Bush. He echoed the same sentiment, saying, quote, "I'm afraid Afghan women and girls are going to suffer unspeakable harm." In the past few days, the Taliban has taken over the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan, raising their white flag over a key border post, and reportedly executed 22 Afghan commanders near the border of Turkmenistan. This comes after the Taliban's claims to peacefully accept the surrender of opposition soldiers. This is entirely predictable, and it will be exploited by the people who got us into this war to make the case that this decision was wrong.
Right, and people like Bush do not have any solution to the problem he presents.
Exactly.
Other than absolute indefinite occupation of Afghanistan, which does not necessarily solve the problem. The Taliban, when it comes to its human rights abuses, is worse in a lot of ways than the kind of the warlords that work with the United States. But in a lot of ways, they're not worse. The warlords. Culturally, in the way that they treat women and girls, are not always much better than some elements of the Taliban. So, if that's your whole reason for an endless occupation, it's not much of a reason. Now, this massacre of 22 commandos, which CNN captured on video or obtained video of, is going to be explosive. The Taliban has been running a PR campaign, for years, saying that, and there is some truth to it, that the late 90s, early 2000s Taliban was run by complete fanatics, and that now that they are several generations into their movement, they have a more sophisticated understanding of government, and in fact they have representatives in Doha who negotiate with the United States and negotiate with other global partners, leaders, and rivals. They were recently in Russia.
A more sophisticated political power.
They're trying to say that no, we can be we can be a responsible government on the world stage. This is what they're trying to present to the world. To have them massacre 22 commandos who are trying to surrender and who have their arms up and in front of witnesses, and now they're scrambling to deny it and say that the video was fake. At least they're denying it. At least they're showing some shame rather than taking credit for it and trying to kind of use it to sow fear around the country. But it was a despicable act, and it's certainly setting back their efforts at rehabbing their PR.
Well, their extensive efforts, and as you described, the lengths to which they went to go to those efforts, the resources poured into that PR campaign shows you exactly how important it is to their geopolitical ambitions. And so the fact that it is undercut by this video and by the news that we have coming out of the country is a very, very big revelation. It's a very big blow to their PR campaign, and that has a very important implications for this entire discussion about Afghanistan. Which, as you say, there's this fantasy on the sort of neoconservative center, and I mean center, about how we can just sort of we can just we can do the nation building, and then at one point we'll just be able to leave, and things will be reasonably calm and stable. And we know that will literally never be the case. You cannot just keep American troops in Afghanistan indefinitely, and someday it'll make sense to pull out. And so when George W. Bush says things like he's concerned about women and girls, yeah, we're all concerned about women and girls. Absolutely. Tell us what you want to do about it.
All right. And shamefully, the Congress could help with the situation with the translators, interpreters, and others who collaborated with the United States in helping them exit the country. But it's being held up by bipartisan bickering. It was included in the Capitol Police bill in the House. Now, Republicans in the Senate are insisting that a clean Capitol Police bill go through without a lot of the other junk that the House Democrats put on it. Democrats are saying, no, we want to attach this program to help translators get out of Afghanistan onto the Capitol Police funding.
Right.
It's like, come on, guys, enough.
Stop.
Just get all of this done.
But it's always been political. It has always been political, and this is just the sad cherry on top of it.
And people who put their lives on the line, and Senate can't even get around to helping them out. Come on.
Yeah, and I shouldn't say it's been political. I should say it's been partisan. It has been partisan from the beginning, and this is just the cherry on top of the tragedy sundae. And it's upsetting that we even have to continue talking about this. But all these years later, 2021, here we are still talking about it.
Here we are. Up next, polling report will tell you what America's thinking.